Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome
To the KINETIQ Life Podcast, brought to you by KINETIQ Renew.
This podcast is dedicated to helping you find your way to your dreams, your goals, and your success. We'll be fueling that with key information on topics like health, science, tech, and lifestyle, coated with a few laughs along the way. In this episode, how Jim Carrey manifested $10 million using the power of visualization, Muhammad Ali's confidence knockout, pineapple leaves burn fat, you won't believe your ears, extend your life because of what time you eat, plus a boost of motivation and a few practical tips that will help you reach your goals. And now we begin, but first, a few words about your hosts. Almost as soon as Michael Chalavoutis earned his degree in biochemistry, he was back in college teaching biochemistry. He was also busy in the gym, working as a fitness instructor. However, the goal was med school, but studying was difficult with such a hectic schedule. He needed a strong pick-me-up, but a healthy one. Only sorcery could produce what he demanded. So his quest could only lead him back to the laboratory. There, combining his chemical wizardry with talents for formulation far beyond those of mortal man, he developed a healthful concoction to help him stay alert and focused long into the dark night. This became Alpha Wolf, and the interest it generated pulled his life into a new direction. Now, disguised as the mild-mannered Chief Development Officer of KINETIQ, he's fighting for better health on a far greater scale than he ever could as a solitary MD. Mark Hertzberg earned diverse degrees, such as Doctor of Optometry and an MBA in Decision-Making Sciences Quantitative Analysis, as well as an MBA in Finance, ages before KINETIQ Renew was available. Fortunately, staying awake to study was not a problem for someone who never slept nor studied. Over the years, such attributes caused several professors and doctors to put him through tests to see if he actually was at all related to humans. Indeed, many people assume he sees UFOs all the time. In reality, he has never seen an unidentified flying object. Since the day he beamed down to this planet, he has yet to see one alien craft he could not identify. A walking databank of concepts who can explain everything as long as nobody asks for names and dates or any proper nouns. He can associate incredibly obscure, unrelated sources of information at superluminal speeds and reformulate their uses. This power to solve any earthly problem could be used for great good or darkest evil. Fortunately, a non-interference directive limits him to using it to make jokes.
Yo, everyone. Hey, I'm Mike Chalavoutis, and I'm really glad to have you here at our pilot episode of the KINETIQ Life Podcast. It's a great day for a great day.
Greetings and salutations. This is Mark Hertzberg at the KINETIQ Podcast. Glad you came to be with us.
Hey, Mark, you ever hear the story about Jim Carrey writing himself a $10 million check 10 years before it actually happened?
No, I did not.
So he tells the story in an interview in 2007, but the story goes that in 1985, which he was had a struggling career in improv and as a comedian, he wrote himself a $10 million check, dated it for 10 years in the future, so dated for 1995, for acting services rendered. The story goes that in November 95, about 10 years later, he received $10 million for his role in Dumb and Dumber. So writing a check for $10 million to himself in 10 years for acting was a leap in faith in what he could become.
I see it more as a setting the goal situation than a leap in faith, because it's only a leap in faith if I write the check to someone who's going to sue me for non-payment. So, which is interesting. When they sent him the check for Dumb and Dumber, did he send himself a check for the full $10 million, or does he have to go collect from himself? But he set the goal and put it in writing. And that's because it's easy to set goals and lose the goal. But when you set the goal and say, can't fidget, can't fudge it, that's the goal.
I believe he kept the check in his wallet the entire time. So he put it into action, put it into writing, and it's something that he could always see every time he went into his wallet, whether it was full or empty. He saw that $10 million check and had, visualized it coming to pass. And I think this is a great example of what they call visualization. And a lot of famous people do visualization techniques?
Well, unfortunately, Jim Carrey also filmed The Mask, so he may have also been visualizing the present era when everyone is wearing a mask.
So what is visualization?
Well, visualization is when you have something you want to do or going to do, and it's easiest to put in like physical terms. Let's say you're playing tennis and you want a better backhand. Besides having a coach show it to you and practicing it or watching yourself on video, sometimes you should just close your eyes and visualize yourself making the same stroke as, let's say, some professional tennis player you're going to model your stroke after. And you watch it in your head and you repeat it and then see if you can repeat that physically. Well, you can do that with anything. You can see yourself studying better and getting a better grade. You can visualize, even better, visualize the rewards of keeping on track with something and pulling it through. Unfortunately, some people, it's like you instinctively visualize dreams instead of possibilities, meaning, this is the Rolls Royce and the Ferrari I'll buy when I win the lottery, which you can't do anything about. You should be visualizing something I can do about why I should keep motivated, because this is what I get at the end of it.
I agree exactly. And actually what you explained there was the two different types of visualization. One is process visualization, where you're envisioning every step towards your desired outcome. So whether it's a repeated backhand to become better in tennis. Now, outcome visualization is exactly what it is, the envisioning the desired future end. So a combination of both is how you really become successful and get to where you want to be. So the outcome visualization is the luxury car, the Rolls Royce, the Ferrari. The process visualization is the steps you need to take to get there. Now, sometimes you have a plan or a vision in your head from those steps, but they don't always turn out the way you expect, but having that vision of those steps helps get you from where you're starting to that outcome result.
And you can do visualization because there could be two ends of it integrated into one thing. For instance, with our sponsor KINETIQ, you can visualize that you want to succeed in business, and when you're rich, you're going to be sipping champagne with the owners of the horse who wins the Kentucky Derby. You can be next to the driver sipping milk at the end of the Indianapolis 500. You can be on a yacht sipping wine, and you can visualize all these things. But you could also visualize that I'm going to drink KINETIQ to keep alert and motivated while I'm doing the work that's going to get me there.
Process to outcome. And that's how you have to look at it, kind of one step at a time. And that goes to the quote, was it, every journey starts with the first step? Well, more often than not, it's a lot of steps till you get to the outcome. But actually, Confucius has a great quote that I've always been a big fan of. It's something I've looked at, or I've said to myself more often than not, those who think they can and those who think they can't are both usually right. So, and this kind of ties into visualization. If you think you can and you're visualizing and you're putting those steps into action, whether it's a vision board with pictures of what you want as well as the actions you're taking to get there, you'll have a much greater chance of succeeding compared to, well, I can't because I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the skills. Actually, I believe there's a great quote from Wolf of Wall Street. The only difference between you and your goals are the BS excuses you keep telling yourself. The more the 21st century crude version of Confucius's quote.
The alpha wolf of Wall Street. Yeah. Breaking Confucius's quote into two halves. The second half, who think they can't, that's almost an absolute, because once you think you can't, you don't try, or the first thing that goes wrong, you give up, or you just do the wrong things. As far as those who think they can, that doesn't always guarantee, but that's the first step in the step. Everyone who succeeds basically thinks they can. Okay, no one who thinks they can't is among those. Even the little train that could. I think I can. But the next step is, it's how you have to believe you can, no matter what the adversity, to the point that maybe we should listen to Yoda. There is no can, there is do.
Yeah, and then it just goes from taking the risk or taking the chance. A lot of people are afraid of the outcome either way, and if you never take any chances, you'll never get to any success. Whether it's that, starting your own company, starting your own blog, pushing for promotion, whatever it may be, if you never give it a try. Was it Gretzky? You miss 100% of the shots you never take.
Well, it's interesting that you put the words success, risk, chance all together. What's your favorite game?
Ooh, I'm a big fan of Monopoly.
Comes out in that, doesn't it? Speaking of I Think I Can, and with your own story, when you were studying for MCATs and all that, and it got, with the whole lifestyle, a lot of stress, a lot of tired, you had to trudge through it. You yourself decided that you can get through this and you can use your own skills to help yourself get through it. And isn't that how you first formulated your first concoction?
Yeah, the Alpha Wolf product, or I guess the beta version of it. I was working 2 jobs, and like I said, I think the first movie I saw that was related to this at the time was Limitless with Bradley Cooper, and he takes some magical pill and he's a genius, and I knew that didn't exist, but I figured, look, I've been making my own sports supplements. I'm a smart guy. I could put something together to make myself a little bit smarter, give me a little competitive edge. Did a lot of research and bought a whole bunch of different things, and you buy all these things come in almost ambiguous powder, so it looks pretty sketchy what I was doing, but they're all natural ingredients, botanicals and amino acids, and I made my own blend and kind of kept playing with it, and I was a human guinea pig for myself, and it worked. I ended up doing real well on my MCAT, and with that, between the help of what I put together as well as the fact that I just knew what I could do. I knew what I was capable from a score standpoint, and how well I, could do on the test. Just because, you do these practice tests, and I had faith and a vision of what I could get on it. And after a lot of hard work and making, the help of the products that I put together for myself, the beta version of Alpha Wolf, I am doing really well in the MCAT. But then my vision expanded from there.
So you knew that you had the ability, if you had the time to study, had the energy and awake enough to do well in the MCATs, and you also knew you had, as a biochemist, you had the ability to make a supplement that could help you get to that thing. But if we fast forward in this story, when you get to the point where people are saying, why don't you make this for sale instead of just for yourself? Now you're getting into an area you've never done before. So did you envision the company and how you would get there? Because you were moving onto new turf, not just saying, I can do this, I've done it before.
I guess I envisioned the outcome. Which you have to, I guess, start with that. And then you kind of, then you start going through the process to get there. And I guess I was smart enough to know what I didn't know. So I tapped people for insight, whether it was an FDA attorney or accountants or people in the industry. And I started teaching myself. I would think I'm an intelligent individual, and whatever I don't know or I need to know, I teach myself. So I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about production. Doesn't come without making mistakes, which could, hurts from a financial and time standpoint, but you learn from it and you move forward and you keep going through that process. The end goal doesn't change. The vision is still there. And with every step, a little extra knowledge, you just become a little more prepared and a little bit closer. And you have to keep looking at that every day. I'm a little bit closer to that outcome.
And even on the day when something happens, because there are always setbacks, and you're not a little closer that day, you have to be able to back up and going. But on the big picture, the graph is still going in the right direction.
Exactly. It might be 3-4 steps forward and a step back. You have those days, but when you look at the grand scheme of things, I'm 100 steps further now than I was when I first started.
And that's kind of how we changed the name of the company, because it's a lifestyle we're after, which is, I know I can succeed. I'm not just talking about taking something where I have energy in the moment or whatever. It's something that I'm heading towards a goal. I have a lifestyle, and this is part of it.
Yeah, a vision of what you can become. And I guess, what the reason I have that view is, the experience through my life. And that is what helped mold me and made me to the point that I know what I'm capable of. And, I've, succeeded and pushed past, whether it was, heck, I was getting taken out of the classroom when I was little because I couldn't read. And I don't even know what grade it was, probably first, second grade or something like that.
I was taken out of the class because I couldn't shut up.
Oh, well, I didn't have that issue. But, fast forward to high school, it was in all AP courses. I was cut from the 7th grade lacrosse team, which everyone makes a team in 7th grade, is in the middle school. And by the time I was a senior, I was on varsity. I was a captain of varsity, captain of the varsity team. Amongst many other things in my life, heck, in my room at home, I have my rejection letter from my undergrad university next to my diploma, and then I have the rejection letter from my grad school next to my diploma. No is not in my vocabulary. Don't say no to me. There's always a way.
So is no in your vocabulary?
I guess it is, but I don't take rejection well.
Yet.
Yeah, and yet.
We're sponsored by KINETIQ Renew. KINETIQ Renew is a 4-ounce shot of all natural ingredients that deliver some amazing benefits, like improved mental clarity, long and short-term focus, and improved memory and cognition. Plus, KINETIQ Renew improves mood with the added benefits of anti-stress and anti-anxiety. It provides antioxidants and neuroprotection, all this with no caffeine, no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or colors, and it's only 5 calories. Visit KINETIQLife.com and subscribe today. That's KINETIQ Life.com.
So this is one of many personal visualization.
Visualize yourself saying the word correctly.
Visualization. One of many personal visualization stories in my life. I played sports in high school and college, and I was 6'2", 6'3", and 160 pounds soaking wet by the time I graduated high school. And I would work out all the time and eat as many calories as I can. For the love of God, I just wanted to put some weight on and fill out. And I had the visualization, and I would watch the bodybuilders, and with Arnold and Phil Heath and all those guys. Cutler. Now, granted, they were, the extreme end of things, but I visualized what I could become that I could fill out. But I also put the actions into it. I worked my butt off.
Why would you work your butt off when you're trying to put weight on? I worked my butt on.
Worked my butt on to make it bigger. Wait, no. By the time after freshman year of college, I think I put on 25 pounds of lean muscle freshman year of college. And I came home, people were like, what are you taking? Nothing. I just every day I was getting dragged to the gym after practice by my roommate, and I just worked hard. I did research on everything from supplements. I wasn't making my own at the time, as well as, lifting techniques. I started training at a private training facility on Long Island for high school, college, and semi-pro athletes. I did everything, but those are the steps along with the visualization to get me to where my end result. And I just continued with it. So by the time I finished, college, I was in amazing shape, not without some injuries in the process and playing sports. And I would say I'm fast forward, how many years I've been out of college? It's been 12 years later. Oh God. I would say I'm in pretty good shape. I'm toot my own horn here, but and I stick with it. I don't want to be the guy with dad bod when I get older. I want to be the hot dad.
Well, you got to put it all together into VAR: visualization, actualization, realization.
Well, if you don't have any actualization or action into it, you will never get the results.
Right. You can't sit there visualizing all the time. Then you're just a dreamer. As a character in something I wrote a long, long time ago in a galaxy far away, the only thing worse than a dream that doesn't come true is a dream you never try.
Exactly. And if you're going into a blind without visualization, you don't have an end result. I mean, it doesn't mean you won't have some sort of success. It's just, I guess, without the visualization, you have less guidance of where you want to be.
When you said like going into like did you say blind alley? I just got this visualization in my head of, what is that blind superhero's name? Daredevil.
Daredevil, yeah.
That if he gets into a fight, he visualizes what's going on and what he's going to do. So even though he can't see it, in his mind, he sees it and does it.
Isn't that I only saw the movie once. Wasn't Equalizer kind of a similar thing? He kind of like visualizes each step.
The Equalizer?
No, Denzel Washington.
Well, that's because I'm remembering the original Equalizer, the TV show from the 80s. He wasn't blind. He was a retired, like...
No, it wasn't blind, but like he kind of had, like, I think I only saw the movie once a while ago. I thought he kind of visualized of kind of like, okay, guy, the actions. Oh, actually, you know who does that? And Sherlock Holmes.
And the funny thing is, I was thinking
Robert
of that
Downey
when you
Jr.,
described that, especially the very first one, the Sherlock Holmes with Tony Stark in it. In his, yeah. And he does the calculations as he's visualizing, which, now that I think about it, there's a similarity in when he's Iron Man and seeing the things in front of him.
Yeah, without, he's just talking a little bit faster instead of taking the step back and kind of doing step by step.
He sees a lot of the calculations as Sherlock Holmes he saw and he visualized.
Typecasted?
Whatever the mind can conceive and believe it can achieve, you can do anything you put your mind to. Yes, you can.
So this is actually there's a very famous speech by Muhammad Ali, and it's right before his big fight, also known as the Rumble in the Jungle in 1974 against George Foreman. Now, George Foreman, I believe, was undefeated at the time, and Ali was a 4-1 underdog. And I believe it was the press conference before the fight, the day before the fight, I want to say. And, the speech is known as... I'm going to show you how great I am. And he goes into, that he's wrestled an alligator. He makes medicine sick. He so fast. He turned off the lights and was in bed before the lights were out. I think he's injured a stone. No one had faith in him winning. It was a huge upset. But not only did he have faith and confidence in himself, he verbalized it. And he was putting into his vision. He was expressing his vision of what he can become, and that he was going to, pretty much smack George Foreman around. I mean, we all know the very next day he won. Now, the rope-a-dope technique, he kind of wore Foreman out, but he won a fight that no one thought he would win. He visualized it in his mind, he verbalized it, and he put it into action. And I think it's just a great story. And for those out there, you should listen to the speech sometime. Check for the link in the show notes. And I've used it a ton of times in actually motivational videos, which you probably find on YouTube. And I personally like it. It's, having confidence in yourself, but expressing it. And really, putting your thoughts into actions. And not in a way, look, there's one thing to be, there's a difference between confident and cocky. I think cocky is actually more of someone that's a little bit more weak and insecure, and they're trying to just kind of express confidence when they don't have it.
Box the loudest.
Exactly. Where Ali, when he had the speech, he was confident in himself, and he carried himself with confidence because he knew that, not only can he beat George Foreman, but that he was.
Well, it's still cocky, but if you can back it up, it's okay.
Yeah, that's true.
And George Foreman, who... Number one, visualized a better way to make a hamburger, and the rest is history. And the success he's had in a lot of things. But there's also the once you've done what you want to do and people challenge it, having the confidence to... Because I once saw George Foreman interview, and he gave a great answer to a challenging question, which is, someone asked him, your kids are George Jr., George II, George III, Georgette. I understand you wanted to name everyone George. How did you get your wife to let you do this? And he goes, I one day just turned to her, go, honey, I've had a lot of fights. I've taken a lot of hits to the head. I have trouble remembering things. Everybody's George.
Oh, I guess that's a way to get away with it.
I visualized that question coming, and I'm confidently ready for it.
Muhammad Ali said in that speech, I'll show you how great I am. We want you to show us how great you are. You are amazing. Show us. Set a goal. Make it happen. Send us an email. Let us know how it happened and what happened. The email is in the show notes. Now, Pineapple Science.
Okay, so time to be topical. Recently, there was a little scientific announcement that I will describe as, if you want your fat to leave, you need pineapple leaves.
Fatty pineapples?
No, anti-fatty pineapples.
Ooh.
That look at your fat and go, make like a tree and leave. They have found that there's certain substances in the pineapple leaves that they can grind them up and make, I guess, a powder. And if you ingest this when you've had a lot of certain types of fats and certain types of fats that aren't friendly fats in your meal, it will actually like sponge them up in your gut so you never digest it. It just carries them out.
Yeah, it actually says about 1 gram of this substance can absorb 45 grams of fat.
That's better than Bounty towels.
That is better than Bounty. So, Mark, to clarify, we're talking about the hard, prickly, but pretty unique top of a pineapple, what you cut off, correct?
That you don't normally eat.
Yeah, it's the garnish, I guess, if you want to say something.
Right. It's probably hard to digest, and I think that's why you don't eat it, but it's also why this thing will pass through you and pull some stuff with it on the way.
No, those could lead to issues, because if you're not absorbing the fat, it kind of just lubricates everything, which ends up being a bad time. In this situation, the substance itself is absorbing the fat. So the substance which is from actually dried and ground up pineapple leaves, they actually made it into a cracker and a gel cap. It's absorbing the fat, so your body can't absorb the fat, but this now absorbed spongy fat leaf substance just passes through your system like a piece of food.
And we should make sure that we're clear. This is an article that was recently out, so this isn't a tested product on the market. It's something we're going to keep a keen eye on and visualize. And then it also, we'll have to see if it's formulatable and producible in forms, and how well it works in the real world, and also which fat it absorbs, and not to overdo it and absorb all fat. So there's a lot before people run out and say, where do I get this stuff?
Yes, you need some fats in your diet. There's a lot of healthy fats that you need. And this is being researched. They're starting to expand. There's some trial groups or something. Don't be going home and grinding up your pineapple leaves and eating them. It's just the beginning of studying the substance, but very cool results, because if it can be translated and used in humans, this might be something that you just eat one of these crackers or take a gel cap when you go into McDonald's, because you really want that those fries that are just so amazing, or a Big Mac or whatever it may be, or just another fatty meal that once a day you're like, oh, I could can't get through my diet without having some of this ice cream or whatever it is. You just take one of these gel caps with it, or eat a cracker, and if it's a little bit more guilt-free.
Right. I have a feeling we're not going to get to the point of, if it came in a bottle, everyone would have a great body, meaning you can't just say, I'm going to have the worst, fattiest diet possible and this will take care of it. but it's a little help along the way if you're doing things.
Yeah. Most important thing is moderation, people.
But don't be too moderate.
No, don't be too moderate.
Moderation in moderation.
Yeah.
One thing, because you said about good fats, and we've come up with this a lot because we are nootropic, we are interested in things that help the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And we're weekly cataloging news and science. So often we see things about because the brain actually energizes itself with fat better than carbs and sugar, and it's not getting that. And some of the problems in older age, associated with Alzheimer's or other dementias, go earlier on in the process, and sometimes it's interrupting the way the brain likes to be fed. And there's another recent article about the insulin, let's say a pre-diabetic, because diabetes will accelerate a lot of the problems we talk about. Insulin delivered into the nose breaks its way through into the blood-brain barrier, and this may be helping slow down the deteriorative processes, because that's also related to insulin resistance to fuels the brain does and doesn't like.
So, and to expand on this, Mark, an infant is actually does not use sugar to fuel the brain. Actually, the fuel source of the brain then is something called ketones, which they're getting from the brown fat or baby fat. And as we get older, we get rid of your baby fat, and we're consuming regular meals, glucose or sugar from the food you eat gets past the blood-brain barrier, but it requires energy, as well as the use of insulin to pass this barrier. Now, as we age, more often than not, especially with our current diets, we have higher sugar levels, in which case it's harder for glucose or the sugar to pass through the brain to fuel your brain cells. Now, in comparison, your brain weighs about 2% of your body weight, but it requires 20% of your daily energy expenditure. Yes, your brain requires a lot of energy. Now, it doesn't mean if you're reading books all day and you're thinking you're going to be skinny. It doesn't work that way, people. But it does mean you have to feed your brain. Now, these keto bodies burning from fat, which Mark mentioned, they pass passively, which means does not require energy to pass the blood-brain barrier. So there's a lot of research into this, that this might, at a minimum, either be a culprit for some forms of dementia, having sugar absorption issues, as well as supplementing with ketone bodies, keto esters, as a potential form of therapy for those that are having issues, or early and late stage dementia. Again, this is real early research, and they're expanding on it. So hopefully by the time I'm a lot older, I will have this figured out. But the idea that a nasal spray, something as simple as that, nasal spray of insulin, could help mitigate the progression of dementia is amazing, because I know what little drugs they have, medications for, early and late stage dementia is, half the time they don't even know the mechanism, or just...
I should put in that it would mitigate the progress of dementias that are based on this problem. Not all would be. For
those that know, dementia is an umbrella term, as they call it. A lot of things under dementia: Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, amongst many others. So... yes, Mark. There's certain dementias that if they believe this energy absorption by the brain issue, this would help with that. I think it's a simple mechanism. It's look, people don't want to be taking too much harsh drugs, so a simple insulin-based nasal spray, if that could go a long way. This is amazing. Modern medicine, people. It's
we are living in the future.
Yes.
If at first you don't succeed, try another way.
Well, you must be happy you're singing and it's not even raining. I didn't know you could sing. I was right.
There's one more thing that I thought was interesting, and it was a mouse study about time of eating and how it may lead to life extension.
Eat when the cat's not around.
Exactly. Simple as that. No, they're talking about, that depending on when you eat, leads to life extension. But they were using mice, and then the mice were nocturnal, and they're saying that the mice that ate during the night, which would be, their preferred time, end up living longer. But then in the next breath, they're just converting it to humans, with saying, okay, if we just translate this, it'd be humans should eat during the day.
Are you
and
a man
night.
or a mouse?
It depends on the day.
It builds on two separate ideas that have had a lot of studies for each of them. One of the ideas is fasting, and people use it for weight loss. Some people have long-term fasting, and that's fasting with liquids, not fasting with nothing. The others who fast once a day for one day a week. They're all different versions, and some are using this for dieting. And others are using it because they say it makes them healthier, life extension. There's an other theory involved here, which is what time you eat. So they're not talking about fasting or calorie restriction. It's just restricting the hours of the day that you eat. And this study seems to be comparing fasting with that. And I think in this study, one thing they found is that all of these things that people are doing for weight loss didn't seem any more effective than regular dieting, but the mice that restricted their eating into their active period in the night, and these must be nocturnal mice hiding from the cat, they actually had I think was a 30% life extension.
Mm-hmm. Somewhere around there.
Now, one thing, this is, a pet peeve of mine, as the world's leading insomniac. There are all different types of sleep patterns and insomnia, and a lot of times when they convert these to humans, they're saying, so humans are active in the day, it should be during the day, and they'll do tests like that, and then they'll force people to reverse and be active in the night, and it won't work. But if you take people who are naturally nocturnal and active at night, that could be a completely different story.
So it's pretty much, like you said, it's during the active period. It doesn't matter. They're just translating it. Like, well, if it's the mice are active at night, average person's active during the day, it must be good to eat during the day if you're a human. Well, like I said, if you're insomniac, maybe not. Maybe eating at night when you're running around is a lot better than during the day.
And I'm talking about a specific type of insomniac who can sleep, but just doesn't sleep on the schedule other people sleep on.
Now, how would this shift adjust to shift work? Because there's a lot of results showing that people who work the night schedule...
Well, I want to have an entire podcast or two dedicated to discussing sleep.
Okay, we'll save that for next time.
We'll save that.
The Sleepcast.
But the one more thing within the article that you are citing, they, like a lot of other articles, they always talk about fasting seems to have something to do with life extension, but no one ever has an idea why. And to me, there's an obvious idea why, which is you look at everything from an evolutionary standpoint and why the body would develop that way. And remember, nature wants you to reproduce your replacement and get out of the way. So it's not super interested in you living for 200 years. But if food isn't available, it's a big energy cost to build the next generation. It's the same thing you face, let's say, when people say, get rid of your car to get an electric car because it saves the environment. Not if you count the cost of building an extra car you don't need. Replacement is an energy and resource intensive thing. And when there are no resources, maybe nature says, we got to keep the people alive longer to reproduce when there's enough food.
Put other things on hold. Yeah.
So starvation very logically should lead to, not all the way. Once you starve, it's a problem. Which brings me to one of my grandfather's favorite jokes. But drought. When you are fasting because you're forced to, or very limited eating, it should naturally adjust that way. Slow your metabolism, extend things.
Well, it slows your metabolism and, cuts your energy use.
And do whatever it takes to keep you around longer.
Which that goes into the whole mitochondria thing, and the more it's used in mitochondrial damage. But let's
like
say
they
that for
say
another
in
time.
Jurassic Park, nature will find a way. If your species can't reproduce now, it'll hibernate, go to sleep, do what it takes to last longer.
And even when a chunk gets wiped out, it's evolution. If you have a trait that helps you get through whatever this new stressor is, you reproduce and move on, and that trait gets expanded. Good old evolution. Though at this day and age, we're not getting chased by saber-toothed tigers, and
That's a pity.
so
I would probably be 30 pounds lighter if there were some saber-toothed tigers around.
we could bring it back. We'll genetically engineer saber-toothed tigers. It's the new workout craze.
Fred, Barney, and we can be exercising together.
The tangents are aplenty. So we're glad you guys came and joined us today. And as you can see, we are a little bit all over the place from topics, but we'd love to have you back for some fun and enjoy a couple of laughs and some random tangents, and we don't know what's going to happen because neither do I.
And you never know, some secrets of the universe may be revealed.
Until next time.
We're sponsored by KINETIQ Renew. KINETIQ Renew is a 4-ounce shot of all natural ingredients that deliver some amazing benefits, like improved mental clarity, long and short-term focus, and improved memory and cognition. Plus, KINETIQ Renew improves mood with the added benefits of anti-stress and anti-anxiety. It provides antioxidants and neuroprotection, all with no caffeine, no artificial flavors, sweeteners, or colors. And it's only 5 calories. Here's what people are saying.
I drink a bottle of KINETIQ Renew, and I'm in a better mood. It's like waking up on the right side of the bed. It's great.
My mental focus is clearly better.
I do notice that I have better clarity. Definitely improves my mood for sure. It reduces my stress, and I'm just so grateful for that.
Visit KINETIQLife.com. That's KINETIQ Life.com and try KINETIQ Renew. Buy or subscribe today and feel the benefits. Thank you for listening to the pilot episode of the KINETIQ Life Podcast. Catch a new show every other Thursday. You can find the KINETIQ Life Podcast on Apple and Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify and everywhere else you can listen to a podcast. Remember, take good care of yourself, be safe, have fun, and go for your dreams. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice. All comments, jokes, views, and ideas expressed are those of the hosts or guests and do not represent any company or organizations with whom they may be affiliated. Always make sure to consult your own physician before starting any new diet, supplement, or exercise routine.